In this cover letter tutorial, we are going to provide a couple suggestions that you might want to keep in mind when you are writing your cover letter. There are stylistic choices and content choices, and everything I'm going to be saying is obviously my opinion. So as always, if something feels right, that's great. If you're really attached to something and you don't want to change it, don't do it. At first glance, I see this happen a lot, I've done it myself, is I see an extra page. So you want to keep your documents to one page if possible. So we just delete that extra spacing. And then we can get into the nitty-gritty because everything else looks pretty good. I would say these paragraphs look a bit robust, so maybe we can whittle them down, but we'll be able to tell that when we get into the content. The first place I focus on is the header. This header is not in the header itself, so I copy and paste it into the header, which sometimes allows a little bit more room in the document. This person, we're making up a mock person named Casey Zarnowski. We don't know if it's a male or female, but Casey has put their middle initial J. And in a case where your name is John Smith or something simple, putting in a differentiator like a middle initial might be a good idea, but in this case, it serves to not make the name flow as well. So Casey Zarnowski is pretty unique in and of itself. So let's leave that there. And I recommend to bold your name because this is your professional brand. So just like a company name, this is your brand name. Also make it bigger. I put it in 18 font. The next thing I notice on the next line is that this person, Casey, has included their address. It looks like a home address. We don't want to expose you and have people looking up your address, and they probably won't need to send you anything in the mail at this point. Probably are more likely to call you on the phone. Putting parentheses around your area code. Also on the next line, you can see that this email address, hotrod420@gmail.com. I don't know quite what it is, but it doesn't sound very professional. So you might want to create a new email address if you don't have it. So casey@gmail.com, for example. We can see that Gmail is misspelled with 2 L's, and obviously they can't reach you if the information is incorrect. So you certainly want to make sure that your contact information and everything within this document is correct. I'm actually going to change the font. I see that it's Times New Roman. I'm going to change it to a font that I really like called Century Gothic. I just feel that it's easier to read. This person, this mock person, Casey, is applying for a job at Whole U. They're applying for a client relations manager position. Say who the letter is addressed to. To make it official letter, you could say the Whole U team. Find out where we're located in Boston, Mass. You also want to date your letter. So let's say it's June 28th, 2019. You could bring this date over to the right. Casey starts off the letter by saying hello, comma. This isn't so bad. I've seen worse. I think dear sir and madam is maybe even worse. But hello is a little lackluster. So you could say, again, keeping it professional, Dear Whole U hiring team. I'm applying to the client relationship management position at Whole U based in Boston. Okay, so first off the bat, based in Boston is maybe not a necessary thing to say. A rule of thumb for cover letters, and I think all documents, is that less is more. You actually want to be more succinct. You want to be as succinct as possible. So as I'm looking here, Whole U, if you know how to spell it, it is spelled with a capital U and a capital W with a period at the end, but the period can serve as the period at the end of the sentence. I think this is a missed opportunity when you just say, I'm applying to the client relations management position. You could say, I'm excited to apply for the client relationship management position. And being excited and showing some emotion is not a bad idea if you're wanting to show enthusiasm for this role. You might want to capitalize these. It's actually client relations manager, so you obviously want to say the correct position, and if there's a requisition number, to include that as well. Here's a tip that I usually suggest to make this letter a little bit more approachable for the reader, and that is to bold certain parts of the letter to make them stand out. So the next sentence Casey says is, I think I may be the perfect candidate for this position because I have a lot of experience in customer service. Okay, I think I may be the perfect candidate. Well, think sounds a little bit weak. Maybe showing a little bit more confidence and saying, I am the perfect candidate for this position because I have a lot of experience in customer service. It's easy to say that, but maybe show that, demonstrate it. One way to do this is to put a colon and say, okay, I have this experience and here are the examples. Actually, that's what Casey does. This next one is, I have been a brand ambassador for XYZ Cola for the past year. Another way to break up the text and make it more readable is to add bullet points. So this could be a place where we add a bullet point. And this is a bulleted example of this previous statement. At this position, I travel to various places representing the brand and gathering new customers for XYZ Cola. Yes, we know that it's XYZ Cola because you just said that, so I would recommend to take out any redundancies or repetition that doesn't really add anything to the meaning or content. I post on various social media and created content for their social media platforms. I think that this sentence is good, but maybe it can be reversed. Rather than this, we could say, and it's present tense, so I create content and post on various social media platforms. So you just don't want to make your reader have to reverse things and try to figure out what you're saying. You want to make it as smooth as possible. Casey goes into saying, I track customer relations and preferences and draft. Again, we're staying present tense because I think it's still happening. Draft up, report on that information for the company to use. So I'm already losing track here, and maybe I want to put in another bullet. So I create content. That's a great place to put another bullet. I track customer relations and preferences and draft up, maybe taking out the up and just saying I draft reports on that information for the company to use. On that information for the company to use is kind of a filler. This is not really necessary to say because it's obvious. In addition, comma, I also assist in the marketing and advertising for the company. So I would take that out. In addition, it's just another bullet of what you're doing at this company. And as I'm looking through these bullets, we're seeing that a lot of these sentences start with I. So you could probably lump them in to this sentence above. So the perfect candidate for this position because I have a lot of experience in customer service. Actually change this from a bullet and just make it a sentence. So this would be the beginning of the bulleted list. As a brand ambassador for XYZ Cola for the past year, I, colon, and then remove this at this position and just start with travel, make that a bullet. I travel to various places representing the brand. Now, how can we shorten the sentence so there isn't a lone word by itself here? I travel to various places. Various places seems like it's not necessary. So I travel to represent the brand and gather new customers. Capital create content and post on various social media platforms. Capital track customer relations and preferences and draft reports. Maybe a comma here to break up the sentence a bit. Rather than I also, we could just put capital assist in the marketing and advertising for the company, giving my insights and opinions on how to increase sales, profitability, and brand awareness. All right. I wouldn't suggest going beyond a handful of bullets. You don't want to have the whole letter be bullets, but here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets. I would say 3 to 5 is pretty acceptable. Let's see if we can make this non-bulleted, see what we're dealing with here. Here I made over 100,000 in commission during my year at the company. Now this could probably be the 5th bullet because that's sort of substantial in terms of a metric. I made 100,000. I assume it's dollars, so you could put a dollar sign and 100K plus, insinuating that it was more than that, in commission during my first year at the company. Great. My social media posts get on average 30,000 likes. I'm an excellent brand ambassador, and these skills would definitely make me a good fit for Whole You client relationship management position, which requires a candidate who is great with customers and is well versed in social media marketing. This is a statement. I think we can end the bullets now and do a paragraph statement like this. My social media posts get on average 30,000 likes. Maybe starting this sentence with, I am an excellent brand ambassador because, so starting the sentence saying, I'm an excellent brand ambassador, period. My social media posts get on average 30,000 likes. Now, these next sentences, I think, and these skills would definitely make me a good fit for Whole You client relationship management position. Well, you kind of said this at the top, so I don't think it's really necessary to repeat it. And then, which requires a candidate who is great with customers and is well versed in social media marketing. That also doesn't seem necessary because it's kind of obvious in the job description. Now, when we were talking about bolding, it's a very good idea to take words that you have highlighted from your cover letter alignment exercise, where you put the job description in one side of the page in one column on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side column you write your comparable experience. So picking out keywords to highlight from that right-hand column, here is where you could bold certain words that would indicate content. And so creating content, tracking customer relations, perhaps assisting in marketing and advertising could be in there, on increasing sales. So brand, or maybe all of this, profitability and brand awareness, maybe these are things all in the job description, and you see how your eye is drawn to this, but you're still reading the rest of the sentences to fill in the blanks of what they mean. Previously, I was a customer service representative at a tech company for 2.5 years. Now, for 2.5 years is, rather than spelling out 2.5 years, you could save this space by just saying 2.5 years. And then rather saying here, this is a filler word. I was the company's first line of defense against customers. Now, why would it be against customers? Defense, if you know the culture of Whole You and the language of the job description, defense sounds a little bit defensive. It sounds a little bit harsh or aggressive. So maybe this language is not fully in line with the tone of the job description. If you had read it, you would see that. I would actually take this sentence out completely because, again, you're not against customers, you're wanting to work with them. Maybe just saying, it was my responsibility to walk customers through technical issues, as well as, here you can just say and give information on our products and services. Here I had to use my quick thinking, problem solving when faced with tough issues that needed expertise in tech. This feels like a run-on sentence. Maybe deleting here, say I used my quick thinking, problem solving. I would choose one or the other because, again, this trips up the sentence a little bit. Used my problem solving, and maybe problem solving is one of the keywords that you've defined in the job description that you want to say that you have relevant experience for. So I used my problem solving when faced with tough issues that needed expertise in tech. For example, one customer had their entire system crash while using one of tech's company program. I remained calm, represented the company well, and we ended up fixing the crash and restoring the customer's data. I actually like this anecdote in here. I think so many times we can say, yes, I have these skills, but we don't give examples. Now, this example might be better suited for an interview situation, if you're in a phone screening or in an interview when they're asking you to tell them about a time something happened. So you could save that for then. It's more conversational. So depending on your spacing, and I think that this is already a little crowded, here's something that I would take out so that you have more breathing room in your letter. This last sentence, it is this level-headedness and loyalty to the brand that would help me be a great first point of contact for the clients of Whole You. I think this relates to this last part of problem solving with tough issues. So rather than it is this level-headedness, just going out and saying it, this level-headedness and loyalty to the brand. Again, we can take out to the and just say brand loyalty. Less is more, main theme. This level-headedness and brand loyalty would help me be a great first point of contact for, how about Whole You's clients, rather than clients of. And here again, you want to make sure that you are capitalizing and spelling the company's name correctly. For fun, I love to ski and mountain bike. I think that this makes me well equipped for the job at Whole You because it means I like to take risks. Again, we're kind of short on space, so I might say that in your resume, putting an interest section at the bottom of your resume and maybe spelling out this mountain biking in your resume might be a good place to do that. So I would delete it from here. You want to end this letter in a strong way. So I am not afraid to think outside the box, accomplish a task that is scary, or do something out of my comfort zone if the payoff is worth it. It's kind of repetitive by thinking outside of the box, accomplishing a task that is scary, or doing something out of my comfort zone. Typically, things that are out of our comfort zone are scary. So let's take out this part and just say, I am not afraid to think outside of the box or do something out of my comfort zone. Now, if the payoff is worth it, this is a case-by-case situation. How do we know it's worth it to you? This kind of makes the reader stop and pause. And so I wouldn't include that. It is important for companies to have the same mentality, and I would be honored to move Whole You in that direction. Let me know if you want to chat. So my opinion here as a reader is saying, well, you're telling me what companies, their mentality should be. This ending is very weak. It kind of started out strong. I'm not afraid to think outside the box or do something out of my comfort zone. Maybe here would be, I believe these skills would be a valued addition to the Whole You team. Obviously, ending with, let me know if you want to chat. Sometimes it's appropriate to use more casual language, but I think in this case, just saying something that's more assertive. I usually like to end with, I welcome the opportunity to discuss my candidacy with you. Thanks so much is sort of a casual closing. So you could say something more like, thank you for your consideration. And then Casey. You could include your last name. That's pretty standard as far as I see, but I actually like how this just says your first name. You're already making yourself approachable by not also including your last name. So those are a couple high-level tips. I'm already seeing that there is a typo there. Obviously, you're going to go through this, run a spell check, and see if everything is accurate and spelled correctly. Every time you write a cover letter, have somebody else read it. Have a friend read it, or hire a coach or advisor to look through it and help you edit it, because it's always helpful to have a second set of eyes, even when you think it's the final product. At first glance, at Casey's application, coming in to apply for a client relations position at Whole You, I would not be drawn to this application because of the errors, because of the run-on sentences. It wasn't that appealing. I think with some polishing, this application could be something that I consider for an application. So hopefully those suggestions were helpful as you think through writing your cover letter. Thank you so much for listening to this tutorial. You will see that there is a downloadable checklist for you to use for both your resume and your cover letter. Hopefully this will help you gain clarity and confidence as you apply for your future employment.